Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and those who don't identify as either, you are listening to Ratchet and Respectable. I just got back to Paris. I took a quick overnight trip to this lovely little place, Mont Saint-Michel. It's a French village on an island, but in low tide, you can walk to the village. But it's this gigantic monastery on top of this mountain. And it's huge. It's not just like a regular cathedral. It's a whole production. It's 3 hours away from Paris. And it very much could have been a day trip. But I was on some real photographer nerd out shit. It was really important for me to see the place during the day and then also to catch it at dusk and at night because it lights up. It was an ordeal, but it was totally worth it. I got the audio guide, so I got good history about the process of building the monastery and then also all the reiterations it had been through in terms of architecture because they built it and I want to say it took 60 years to build. And then they finally got it built and they finally opened it and then the north wall collapsed. Then it got struck by lightning. It was always having issues. It got invaded, actually got taken during a couple different wars. After it was a monastery, briefly it was a prison. I want to say that was during the French Revolution. This monastery, because it's been around forever. Those walls have many, many, many stories. But it is in good standing now. It's been completely renovated, and it's a good renovation. It was a bit of an ordeal to get there. Uphill, no less. And I took my good camera and a good lens. The lens that I used to shoot lion eyeballs, the 7-pound lens. I carried that around in my backpack all day, marching up and down those steps. And the sole purpose was, so at the end of the day, when I'm far from the monastery, I can get the shots of the island at night because I need the good camera. And then I thought I needed the extreme zoom in order to capture the shot that I wanted. Come to find out, I really didn't even need that lens. I really carried that 7-pound lens all the way out to this other city and then up all them damn steps. Only to find out that I really didn't need it. I was like, I'm going to shoot something with this. I just zoomed in on random stuff, like people in windows. I was like, I'm going to shoot something. Yeah, but it was really good. The shots came out not as good as I wanted. I've been shooting for maybe 8 years now, but I've never taken classes or anything. I just do it as a hobby. There were a couple of shots I wanted to get, and I just didn't have the technical know-how to do it. So still learning. But the stuff I did get, some of it's absolute trash. That's the nature of photography. But some of it, I'm like, oh, at least it looks good on the camera. I didn't bring the little thing to plug into my laptop to download my pictures yet. So we'll see. And then I also have them on my iPhone. I'm like, if they look good on the iPhone, they should look better on the camera. And on Wednesday, I think I mentioned this when I first got to Paris. In order to go to the Louvre and get there before the crowds, I had to book my ticket for 9 a.m. a month in advance. Even if I hadn't gone to the south of France for 2 weeks, there were still no tickets available at 9 a.m. Got there at 8:15 in the morning. There were only, I want to say 7 or 8 people in line in front of me, a family of 4, and then 5 teenage girls, so 9 people. So I was number 10 in line. When they let us into the Louvre at 9 o'clock, me, the family of 4, and the teenage girls went on a mad dash to get to the Mona Lisa. They ran ahead. I stopped to take a couple pictures. If you watch, what's the video with Beyonce and Jay-Z? Ape Shit. They're in the Louvre and they have it to themselves. When they did it, everyone was like, oh my God, because no one ever seen the Louvre empty like that. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe they shot in the Louvre. And I hadn't even thought about it before I got there. I just wanted to see the Mona Lisa without the crowds. But as I was running up the steps, I let one of the last girls run in front of me and got the shot at this beautiful statue with no one in it. And then we turned into another gallery and they were way, way ahead. So I just waited for a second and there were people coming behind me. And so I waited for a second and got this whole gallery that was super empty and then sprinted to the Mona Lisa. And there was already other people there because there's a couple entrances to get into the Louvre. I got to the Mona Lisa by 9:07 and the Louvre is not small, sprinting through the Louvre. And no one stopped us because I guess everyone does that. This is a morning ritual. But when I got there, it was already 15 people there. And this one woman, she drove me crazy. She just stood there. Everyone like went up, got their shots, and then moved away. And this woman got up there and then she just stood there. She stood there for like at least, and it probably wasn't forever. I'm acting like it was 20 minutes. She probably stood there for like 4 minutes and she was like front and center. And I just couldn't get that front and center shot. And she was doing it so defiantly. And I was like, oh, fuck this chick. And I put up my phone like right in front of her and took the picture. I was like, I just ran through the Louvre. I'm getting my center shot. I'm leaving here with something. It was so ridiculous. And then as soon as I got my shot, like by the time I pulled back, there were probably like 50, 60 people behind me. And there were more people pouring in from like other directions. Like it was a madhouse. And then I left there and made a mad dash for the French crown jewels. A lot of stuff they lost during the revolution, the ones that are left, or at least a selection of them, are in the Louvre. But the most impressive part isn't actually the jewels. I mean, the diamonds are huge, but I've been all over London and all over Europe. I've seen all the diamonds and tiaras and brooches and all that all summer. The room is amazing. It's also featured in the Beyonce and Jay-Z video. It's like all gold, everything. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And then I ran to Napoleon's apartments. They had his whole dining room set up. And by dining room setup, I mean like it was a table for 20 easily. Running through the Louvre trying to get to the Mona Lisa was a thrill. It was a total adrenaline rush. The Mona Lisa might be the most least impressive thing I saw that day though. It's not a bad painting. I'm not mad at it. Like it's a very famous painting for a reason, but there's so much other good shit in the Louvre. Some of it is just like purely the architecture. I might not have necessarily been interested in what was in the room, but because you know, it's Europe. They love some ceilings. They love some gilded. They love some gold. They love just over the top type shit. Like sometimes I just be walking around looking at the ceilings. I stayed there for 6 hours because I told y'all like I want to just put on sweatpants, which I couldn't because it's a heat wave in Europe right now. It was 90 degrees. I had on leggings and a t-shirt. It was hot as hell by the afternoon. So I go and look at stuff from 9 to 12. And then I hadn't eaten that morning and I started to feel like it. So I went to one of the restaurants. I went to Angelina's. If you go to the Louvre, I think that's the best one. It has a beautiful view of the pyramid and the statues that you can see on the building from outside. Like you can literally reach out and touch them from the restaurant. Really beautiful views and the food was good. I had the salmon and couscous, amazing. By the time I came out of lunch, everyone and their mother had descended upon the Louvre. It wasn't necessarily that you couldn't see anything. It wasn't like shoulder to shoulder. I've been in museums like that, like Versailles. I told you like Versailles was really bad for that. But the Louvre, I just expected like it's a museum. It's one of, if not the most famous museum in the world. And y'all ain't got no AC? Or your AC is broke during a heat wave? But it was just too many humans and then no AC. And then Europe is not America. And so the use of deodorant is not as prevalent. Like it be some real funky white folks here. Between the body odor and just all the humans and no AC, there was a couple other things I wanted to see. There's a really famous painting. Remember that French magazine superimposed an image of Michelle Obama as an enslaved woman with her breast out? The original painting of that is at the Louvre. I was going to try to find it, but it was just too damn hot and I was tired and it was too many people. And I was like, you know what? I've given it 6 hours. I've given it all that I can today. My listeners know that I'm all about comfort, especially when I'm in bed. My bed experience has gotten so much better with Buffy bedding. Buffy has Earth's softest bedding. The Breeze Sheet is the softest sheet you'll ever try. It's woven from eucalyptus, making it softer than cotton or linen. These sheets are seriously softer than normal sheets. I love laying in bed and how the sheets feel on my skin. And I'm not the only person that loves these sheets. Architectural Digest and Glamour named the Buffy Breeze Sheet the best bed sheet of 2023. And you can see for yourself why Buffy has over 50,000 five-star reviews. And if you don't love your Buffy sheets, there's a 50-night return policy on all orders with free shipping on returns and no return fees. Upgrade your bedding with the Breeze Sheet by Buffy. Go to buffy.co and use code RR for 25% off your first order. That's buffy.co, promo code RR for 25% off. Do you have a summertime anthem? How does this one sound? Summertime and building credit easy. That's the song you could be singing all summer long with the secured Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card, a better way to build credit. As in, you can build your credit score safely with everyday purchases and on-time payments. Plus, there's no annual fee, interest, or credit check to get started. What I love most about the Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card is you can build credit using your own money. And you can even get paid up to 2 days earlier with a qualifying direct deposit. You'll also get access to more than 60,000 fee-free ATMs. That's more than the top 3 national banks combined. Start building your credit up. Open a Chime checking account with at least $200 qualifying direct deposit to get started. Get started at chime.com/ratchet. That's chime.com/ratchet. The Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card is issued by Stride Bank North America, members FDIC. Chime checking account and $200 qualifying direct deposit required to apply. Out-of-network ATM withdrawal fees may apply. On-time payment history may have a positive impact on your credit score. Late payment may negatively impact your credit score. Results may vary. Using the internet without ExpressVPN is like checking in your baggage at the airport without a lock. You think your stuff is kept private, but you never know who's going through your underwear or sex toys or anything. When you go online without a VPN, internet service providers can see every single website you visit. They can legally sell this information without your consent to ad companies and tech giants who then use your data to target you. When you use ExpressVPN, ISPs cannot see your online activity. Your identity is anonymized by a secure VPN server. Your data is also encrypted for maximum protection. What I love about ExpressVPN is how easy it is to use. You just fire up the app, click one button, and your internet browsing is secure. And ExpressVPN works on all devices, phones, laptops, even routers, so everyone who shares your Wi-Fi can be protected. I personally use ExpressVPN because I need to watch all my American TV shows while I'm abroad. Secure your online activity by visiting expressvpn.com/ratchet today. That's expressvpn.com/ratchet. And you can get an extra 3 months free. expressvpn.com/ratchet. BO comes from bacteria all over the body. So why do deodorants stop at your pits? That's why I'm so excited to tell you about Lumi, the world's best whole body deodorant. Its acidified formula is clinically proven to control odor-causing bacteria everywhere, pits, privates, and beyond, for a whopping 72 hours. As an OBGYN, Lumi's founder, Dr. Shannon Klingman, met thousands of women concerned with odor below the belt. She discovered that it wasn't your private areas to blame, but bacteria on the skin. So she created Lumi, a pH-optimized aluminum-free deodorant that actually works and works everywhere, with over 150,000 five-star reviews to prove it. What I love most about Lumi is it's aluminum-free, baking soda-free, and paraben-free, and yet it works. Now, I only use it for the pits, but even on a very hot day, I don't smell like outside. I smell very fresh. Lumi Starter Pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get $5 off a Lumi Starter Pack with code RATCHET at lumideodorant.com. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack when you visit lumideodorant.com and use code RATCHET. And then getting out of the Louvre, like it took me another 20 minutes Like once I got to the exit and like left to actually get out of the Louvre complex, it took another 20 minutes. Like they trap you in that thing. It's a good day. And then I came home and took like a 4-hour nap because I was exhausted. Still a good day. What is going on in the world? Shout out to my very good friend. She's been on the podcast a bunch of times. Author, New York Times best-selling author. She's not just a regular author. Deneen Milner. She has a new book out called One Blood. She talked about it last time that she was on here. It's her first work of fiction. I'm super excited for her. I don't have a copy of the book yet. I don't know where to get an English copy. I will definitely buy my own copy, but I also want Deneen to like sign one for me. So either I have to go down to Atlanta or she has to sign a copy and send it. I don't know. One or the other. I want a signed copy. But Deneen is one of the best writers. And that's just not me saying that. She has several New York Times bestsellers, but she is one of the best writers in the business. And this book has a very personal connection for her. Like she's adopted and the book is, I don't want to give too much away, but there's an adoption through line in the book. So she's poured a little bit of her story into constructing this new story. I mean, that's what writers do. You write what you know. But super, super happy for my dear friend. I cannot wait to get my hands on her book. Also, shout out to my friend Isol Harris. He's one of the producers on a new documentary on HBO about Donyale Luna. You might not know her name, but you know her image. She's been deceased my entire lifetime. She was one of the first Black supermodels. She was the first Black woman on the cover of Vogue back in the 1960s. She was also kind of the first Black woman on the cover of Harper's Bazaar. Harper's used to do sketches for its covers, and she was the inspiration, and they made her Black, but she was the inspiration for one of the sketches that appeared on the cover. And it was the very first time that a Black sketch, Black woman, image of a Black woman, even as a sketch, had appeared on the cover of Harper's Bazaar. So it was a very big deal. It's no coincidence that this film is coming out just in time for Fashion Week. I think we spoke previously. Apple TV also has a documentary about supermodels. We talked about this. It's Naomi, Cindy Crawford, Linda Evangelista. There's one that I'm missing. We talked about in a previous episode though. But like I said, Apple also has a documentary about supermodels because September is Fashion Week in New York and also in Paris. But Donyale Luna, there's this very famous photo of a Black woman. She's got like her hand held up in a circle over her eye. And she's looking through the circle kind of like her fingers are maybe like a telescope or something. It's a really iconic image. One of the fashion girls in New York used to sell t-shirts with Donyale's image on it. And I was like, where do I know that image from? And I looked it up years ago, and that's how I found out about her. She's got a really interesting story. Black people look at her and be like, oh yeah, she Black. But white people still, but especially then, have this very narrow image of what Black looks like. So she was Black, but she didn't look Black. She also, and I only know this part because I watched the trailer for the documentary. I had no idea what the woman's voice sounded like. But remember Madonna lived, I want to say in London for a while and started to pick up this very affected accent. And everybody was like, man, you from Midwest America. Why do you sound like that? So I'm watching the trailer for this documentary. I can't place her accent. And I was like, oh, okay, she's a Black girl from Europe. And then I went to do a little Google search or whatever. And I was like, well, where is she from? They were like, oh, her family's from Detroit. Ma'am. Her mom is Black and some other stuff. Her dad is Black and some other stuff. But when people asked her where she was from, she said she was from the moon. She came into popularity during the 1960s. She wanted nothing to do with the civil rights movement and said as much. She has a very infamous quote, which might explain why so many Black folks don't really know who she is. The culture didn't really keep her. A journalist asked her about the civil rights movement, and she said, quote, "The civil rights movement has my greatest support, but I don't want to get involved." She was also asked if she hoped that her success might open more doors for African American women. She replied, if it brings about more jobs for Mexicans, Chinese, Indians, Negroes, groovy, it could be good, it could be bad. I couldn't care less. Yikes. But like I said, she died in 1979. She was 32 from a heroin overdose. She was married at the time, and she had an 18-month-old daughter. So she has a very short story, but it was very lively, to say the least. I'm looking forward to this documentary. I wonder if any of her story, I'm just thinking about like the timing. She was married to an Italian photographer and she died in Rome in May 1979. I wonder if Mahogany was based at all on this woman. I'm just thinking because like black model, Rome, Italian photographer. Not that Diana Ross's character died of a heroin overdose. Mahogany came out in 76, 77. Okay, that's around the same time that this woman would have been popular, because she was popular in the States, but she was also popular overseas. I wonder if any parts of Mahogany was influenced or inspired, or there was a spark at all based on Donyale's story. I don't know. I only know just the things that I've shared with you. And the quotes that I've read are from an article in the Telegraph, UK Telegraph. Just like to cite my sources. But I just know the highlights and the lowlights. I'm assuming this documentary will fill in some of those other details. Speaking of supermodels, and we just talked about her. We were talking about the Apple documentary on supermodels. Naomi Campbell. She did a fashion show for the big launch, the big release of her collaboration with Pretty Little Thing. Previously, I referred to it as a collaboration because that's what it was referred to in all the articles. This is actually her first turn as a fashion designer. So she designed all of the looks that are in the Pretty Little Thing collection. I saw a bunch of them. I went on the site to take a look at it. It's not my taste. Most of them just wouldn't be a good fit for my frame. But nothing was bad about I know a lot of people are very skeptical about the Naomi Campbell and Pretty Little Thing. And they're like, but the quality of the clothes and brand Naomi, it just doesn't align. There's legitimacy to that critique. I like Naomi, so maybe I'm giving her much grace here. I think it's a great way to appeal to the younger generation. And I don't know what check they wrote to her personally, but they put a lot of money behind this launch. So some people could be like, well, you know, it's not high end, it's not couture, but it may be a good check. You know, Naomi got 2 kids now. She may need cheese for her eggs. I don't know. But I looked at the fashions. Again, it's not my taste, but I definitely don't think she embarrassed herself. I don't think she's entirely off brand. It's kind of like when those really big brands do those collaborations, like with H&M. That's kind of like what it strikes me as. Or like Stella McCartney and Adidas, or even Gucci and Adidas. For some, it works. For others, you know, not so much. I get it. But congratulations to Naomi. If nothing else, it's a way to keep her name on people's tongues. Because, you know, this documentary with the supermodels is coming out. Like, I don't know what those other ladies are up to. And maybe they're up to nothing. Maybe they're like, you know, I've made my millions and now I'm resting on my laurels, which is completely fine. But I appreciate that, you know, Naomi does have a way of keeping her name in the zeitgeist. A couple updates on stories we discussed last week. Remember the story? I think it was the last story for Tuesday's podcast. We talked about a woman who met a man and he stole her shoes. You know, that story made it to the New York Times. A couple people sent me the link and I was like, is this like a hoax? What, is this Photoshop? And then I clicked and I was like, holy shit. It's a New York story. It's a story about fashion. The woman is a fashion designer. And the man stole a pair of shoes that cost about $1,000. It's the It shoe. Whether you like it or not, whether you think it's horrendous or not. I mean, it has all the elements to make for a good New York Times story. But they really ran that man's whole government name in the New York Times, calling him a thief. They said they reached out to him and that he declined to be interviewed, which I would too, given the circumstances. And she gave a few more details than what she shared online, at least the videos that I'd seen. She asked him, she was like, why would you steal my shoes? Like, why would you do that? And he was like, I didn't think it would go this far. Like, I didn't think you'd catch me. And I was like, I wonder how many other women he's dated and stole their shit. The New York Times, they didn't say whether they reached out to the girlfriend or not. They did mention that part of the reason that the story had such appeal was that people were wondering about what the girlfriend thought. And to everyone's knowledge, including the New York Times, she hasn't said anything. He had to go tell his girlfriend, like, okay, those shoes I gave you that you were so excited about that you put them on immediately and posted a picture on your Instagram page, I need those back. Surely people told the girlfriend, like, hey, you saw this story about this woman saying your man slept with her twice. I wonder if we'll ever hear from the girlfriend. She may be a very private person. We may never know. I did respect, I don't think I mentioned this last episode, I did appreciate when the girl who had her shoes stolen posted a picture of the girlfriend. She blurred her face out so that everybody wouldn't be able to identify her. Her beef wasn't with the girl. Her beef was solely with the dude. I appreciate that she was careful with the woman and that she wasn't petty about everybody, especially given the whole situation. Because she could have been a real ass, but she wasn't. She's a decent woman. She just wanted her damn shoes. She also noted that she's heard your slut shaming, and she said basically the same thing I had. She was like, I don't understand how you listen to this whole story and your takeaway is slut shaming. Like, he's a thief. He stole my shoes. But it made it to the New York Times. I was shocked. We also have updates on what they're calling on Twitter, #Brickgate. The young woman who a man slapped her in the face with a brick. I don't know that I've ever seen such a swift disinformation campaign to discredit someone. There are some things that are really hard to defend. One of them is hitting someone in the face with a brick. Remember last episode, I was like, tell me, what is a valid excuse to hit someone in the face with a brick? What could someone possibly do to make that justified? I seriously want to know, because I guarantee you that woman didn't do it. Unless she also picked up a brick and hit him, and then he picked up a brick and hit her in return. That's the only way his actions are justified. Otherwise, I've been following the story online. People are saying that the story is a hoax, which is weird because I've seen videos from at least 3 different men who all say that they were present when this guy hit this woman in the face with a brick. Now, all 3 of them are also trying to discredit the woman. One of the guys was like, yeah, I was there. I know who the girl is. Like, she's always around. She's a known troublemaker. The guy hit her in the face with a brick and like, no, I didn't do anything. I'm not saying I condone it, but you do condone it because you sat there and watched it, and then you're trying to say the woman's a troublemaker. So in a way, she deserved it. Never did say exactly what the woman does or says or whatever. He just labeled her a troublemaker. And then people have also run with that narrative. Well, this guy knows her and said she's a troublemaker. Well, what does that mean? What does that mean? Does that mean she calls out misogyny and patriarchy? Is that what makes her a troublemaker? What exactly makes her a troublemaker? But this guy labeled her that. And people are picking up on the troublemaker part and using it to justify this man hitting this woman with a brick. But they're leaving out the part that the man said, yeah, I was there when the guy hit her in the face with a brick. The other video, there were 2 guys, and they said, yeah, she got hit with this brick. We called the police and waited with her until the police and the ambulance came. So her saying that she got hit with this brick and then people did nothing, the 2 of us in this video tried to help her. So people are listening to that portion of like, see, she's trying to dog out black men and she has an agenda to make black men look bad. And these guys are saying that they helped her. So this one guy did this terrible thing, but these other guys who are also black helped her. So why is she going with this narrative? They're skipping over the part where they're confirming that, yes, she got hit in the face with a brick. Huge misinformation campaign targeting this woman that's like, no, she didn't get hit in the face with a brick. She's lying. Did you see the video? It was AI. What? Go on Twitter. #Brickgate. That's the new narrative. She didn't actually get hit in the face with a brick. It was AI. And I was like, so it was AI when she was in the parking lot, and then it was AI when the early videos from when she was at the hospital, and then hours later when she got discharged. AI can't get fingers right, but they can swell up your face like that? Anything not to acknowledge, which 3 different people who said they were there have confirmed happened. And then there was this other woman who's been calling around to local police departments, and they're like, she didn't file a police report. So like, did it really happen? 3 people said that it happened. Whether they're blaming the woman for it happening or they're saying they helped the woman after it happened, whether you file a police report or not doesn't change the fact that it happened. Other interesting thing, I'm seeing men are justifying not protecting women because men can be violent and they don't want to put themselves at risk, especially for some strange woman. They're like, okay, so I jump in this situation and this person who I don't know how violent they are, I don't know how crazy they are, and they attack me, I'm dead, I can't go home to my family anymore, but you get to keep on living your life, random woman who I gave up my life for, who I don't even know. Like, why would I put myself in harm's way? I was like, okay, so you're acknowledging that men be out here violent as hell. Because most of the time, when women talk about the amount of violence and aggression that they experience, Black men usually is denied. They don't acknowledge it at all. And now they're very much acknowledging, and this is the defense, that yeah, like a lot of Black men are violent and aggressive. And so why would I put myself in that situation? If you're afraid and you have more size than me, or you're an equal size to the person who's being an aggressor to a woman, how much more afraid do you think I am as this smaller person? Do Black men who are making this argument about the accelerated violence of Black men, do they not realize that this has been a long-standing argument when police shoot Black men or police are violent to Black men? The assumption is Black men are more violent or more aggressive, and so they need more violence to be subdued. Or there's a greater fear because of Black men's like strength and then their propensity to go violent. Police officers who are violent towards Black people always use that as the excuse of, well, that's why we beat him so bad, Rodney King, or that's why we shot him. And it's just so interesting that this is the exact same argument that Black men are using right now in their own defense for doing nothing to defend women. Even if you're a guy who is not willing to defend women, like for whatever your reasons are, like you're scared, you don't want to, you don't think it's worthwhile, you don't think women are worth it, whatever your reason is. Do you understand the level of bitch assness as a man to type or to go on video or whatever platform that you have to get on it and be like, I am a man, but nah, I don't defend no women? What exactly is your definition of manhood? Do you understand how weak that sounds? How are you proud not to do shit? How are you proud that you saw a woman get hit in the face with a brick and you stood there and did nothing? Surely you're making this video for other men, because no woman in her right mind is ever going to fuck you. I don't know if it's ever happened before, but if it did, it will never happen again. You're on video proud. I did nothing. Really? Also, there was another interesting occurrence. I saw this one come up a couple times. Men were like, so you want me to put myself in danger? Like, I'm not doing that. They were like, the best I could do for you is call the police. I saw that multiple times. I was like, when did all these Black men start feeling like they could call the police and the police are a valid source of protection? Black men talk about, okay, we're going to call the police. When did y'all suddenly start having so much faith in police? Because usually the conversation about police is how they be whipping y'all ass. But now it's like, call the police because they're going to come to protect and serve. They're a source of help? Really? I read this stuff and I'm like, do y'all hear yourselves? You will literally say anything. The cult leader introduced the term, obviously accountability is not a new term, but he kind of weaponized it when it comes to women. Men are constantly saying, women, you don't take accountability. Where's your accountability? Where's your accountability? Where's your accountability? Where's your accountability? And I just find it like so interesting. Like men are literally being like, well, call the police, or announcing themselves as like a bitch ass nigga who will go as far as to label Black men like themselves, is worthy of being generally feared and having a propensity for violence. You will literally say crazy shit that is damaging to your own image just to avoid holding another Black man accountable for hitting a woman in the face with a brick. This should be the easiest thing to denounce. It's like you can't even let one out the pack. I always find it so troubling the way so many Black men will literally flock to the worst representations of themselves to defend them. Whether it's R. Kelly or Bill Cosby or Tory Lanez or this nigga with the brick. What is this desire to be affiliated with like the worst of humanity? Why is this who you choose to defend? Like, there's plenty of gray area type things. A man who like 40 women have accused of drugging and raping them. A man who 40 underage, once girls, now women, say that he's done terrible things to them, some of them on video when they were minors. A man who shot a woman in the foot because she bruised his ego. A man who hit a woman in the face with a brick. This is who you choose to align yourselves with. Why? You know what I've realized? It's like some sort of bonding ritual among fucked up men. They get together and they circle jerk and bond over their hatred for women. That's how they strengthen the bonds of their community. Literally gathering together to express how much they hate another group. This doesn't sound familiar to you? This doesn't sound like, I don't know, some Nazi Germany shit or some KKK type shit, blue line type shit. Like, this doesn't sound like a bunch of things that have not worked in your favor. And now you're adopting the very same systems that have been used to shit on you, to shit on Black women. Does no one else see it? You're literally using the talking points that racists have used for centuries to apply to you in defense of a nigga who hit a woman with a brick. Really? Yes. Really. I do want to talk about this new Cardi Meg video. I said on Tuesday that they had a video coming out, and I was like, they just gonna piss everybody off, which is exactly what happened. Just like with WAP, this is very similar fare. Although I thought WAP was by far more controversial. I was trying to figure out, I was like, what are bongos? I don't understand why they call this song bongos. It's the sound that a big ass makes when the guy is hitting it from the back. There's a lyric that says something like, my back shot sounds like bongos. I was like, oh God. Those two. The song is okay. I really watched the video for the visuals. Cardi's videos give late 90s video budgets. Like, it looks like no expense was spared. Many outfit changes, much glamour. Those little feather hats that they both had on, loved. Would never wear it, but loved the visual for the moment. The swimsuits, out of this world. It was like a femme technicolor dream. I watched it multiple times. Cardi looks amazing. Meg looks amazing. Meg's body, hair, everything about Megan. I love that girl. I like my cousin Duchess Megan, but I also like my niece Megan. Ratchet and Respectable. Really thought they were going to try to outdo WAP, and I was like, that went right up to the line. And some would say crossed it. Although literally the first line is something like, eat my ass like a plum. I find it more tasteful than eat my booty like groceries. Is it me? Plenty of twerking, which I expected. Plenty of shit talking. My body is beautiful. My sex is amazing. And this is my favorite part. The expectation of being pleased sexually. I think that's the part that pushes men like over the edge. That and the idea that women may actually possibly enjoy sex. Like, it's not just something women do for men's pleasure. They actually do desire sex. They want sex. Like, the idea of that pushes some men, just pushes them just entirely into another realm. Like, those are the ones that are barking and bitching on social media right now, as if this is not just WAP repackaged. And you're getting outraged all over again. Like, it's not almost the exact same thing, even a more tame version. And pause. It's amazing to me how the themes in culture keep occurring over and over and over and over. Last week, we were talking about the woman who got her shoes stolen and how people were slut shaming her for having sex on a second date. And I was like, why is this such an issue? Especially with the men blaming her. I'm like, y'all want to have sex. Y'all are constantly talking about sex, about your desire for sex. That if you take a woman on a date and you spend a certain amount of money, you expect her to do certain sexual acts or at least have sex, but sex, right? And then when you find out a woman also desires to have sex and also expects to be satisfied while having that sex, it's the world. The world is ending. How dare you bitches that I want to fuck also want to fuck too? I'm trying to figure out, like, what is the issue? You're a heterosexual man and wants to fuck. There's a heterosexual woman who also wants to fuck. What's the disconnect? I don't understand. I don't understand. But the same thing happens with Cardi and Megan. It's like they're talking about sex. They're talking about their enjoyment of sex. They're talking about all the freaky shit that they like to do during sex, the pleasure that they want to provide, and then the pleasure that they want to receive. And I was like, that sounds to me like a great sexual experience. But there's so many men so up in arms. All these bitches talk about is sex. All you niggas talk about is sex. What's the problem? Y'all want to fuck? They want to fuck. Why can't y'all just fuck? Consensually. Mutual pleasure. Y'all do some things, they do some things. Everybody leaves happy. What's the problem? But again, just like with WAP, it's a huge problem. People are like falling out on Twitter. These disgusting women, all they do is shake their ass. All they do is talk about sex and money. All women, all they do is twerk. I'm like, but you like watching women twerk. Y'all go to strip clubs. Y'all pay to watch women twerk. And now these women are twerking and you can watch them twerk. They have really big booties too. And what is the problem? Like, you like to watch ass shake. They are shaking ass. What exactly is the issue here? I don't get it. Maybe I'm not meant to get it. It doesn't make sense, but I mean, maybe it's not meant to make sense. I don't know. I don't know. There's more to talk about. I'm going to save some things for next week, but that's what we've got for this week. I'll be back on Tuesday. All right. Have a good weekend. Bye.